Welcome to another episode of Let's Get Down to Biz. My name is Erica J. Pierce, and this is where I speak to other business owners, and we talk about the good, the bad, and the challenging experiences that go along with running a small business. Like I said, my name is Erica J. Pierce, and I'm a growth mindset life coach. And today, I felt like I wanted to do something just a little bit different. I normally speak to other business owners, but today I just kind of wanted to change it up a bit and just let it be me. Talk about me a little bit, let you get to know me and what I do, and kind of be a little bit transparent. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna talk about what I do, and today's topic is moving forward despite the fear, and I know a lot about that. So I want to talk to you about how I got started being a life coach. So as a growth mindset coach, people hire me that struggle with poor mindset, no clarity, no discipline. I show them tools that's going to transform them into more self-empowered action takers. So basically help them, like I said, to have more discipline, teach them certain new habits that are going to help them get to where they want to be from where they are right now, help them to reach their goals, help them to figure out what it is that they want and cut through all the clutter to get to what they want. Now, I started this because, I'll go back. I was in Miami, living there, working corporate America, and I was miserable, hated it. And I was starting to have health problems from being stressed out. I was dealing with, to be honest, I had a poor mindset. Didn't have a lot of discipline. I had goals and dreams that I was trying to pursue, but I didn't really have a clear path. Just kind of put them on the back burner and just kind of let life take the driver's seat instead of me being in control. And it's funny how the universe works. Whenever you decide that you want to make a change, if you're really serious, things will kind of come together to make that happen for you. And out of nowhere, I got a call from a friend of mine, and I'd never talked to this girl on the phone, like ever. And it was just so funny. I have no idea why she even called me that day, but we were, catching up, and she's telling me about this program that she decided to sign up for to become a life coach. And she's like, girl, it's completely changed my life. I'm looking at things a completely different way. And I'm a hot mess. It's changing my life. And I was really intrigued by it, and decided to do some research and look at it. So I'm looking at it, and it looks good, but I can't figure out how I'm going to make the time for it. I was working full time. I was teaching dance. I was still performing. I was doing a lot. So I didn't have the time for it. I couldn't see how I can fit it into the budget at all, but it was everything that I felt like I needed. So after a couple of days of kind of going back and forth in my mind about whether or not it was a good idea, I decided, you know what? I think I need to go ahead and invest in myself and just take that plunge and just see what happens. And lo and behold, when I did that, the time opened up. The money appeared, and I was able to take the course. Going into it, I had no intentions of being a life coach. At that time, life coaches weren't really talked about very much. I didn't know a lot about them, but I had no intentions. But after going through it, it made such dramatic changes in my life. It was almost like night and day. My outlook on life just completely changed. The way that I would go about doing things to get to what I wanted. I had plans. I had tools in place to help me to really sort through my stuff and get really clear on what I wanted. And I was like, there is no way that I can know these things and not share it with other people. So I decided to go ahead and start coaching. And it was completely life-changing. To see people start from here and be in dark places or completely lost in what they want, and then to be able to help them to get to where they want, and just see them just open up and reach the goals that they want, just made me, it helped me. And I was just like, I'm helping them, but they were also reinforcing that in me and let me know that I was on the right track. So I did that part-time while I was working in corporate. It was a lot, but I felt so fulfilled at that time doing that. But I have to be honest, during that time, I still questioned my abilities. I still doubted whether or not I was cut out for what I was doing. And I felt like, and I remember saying it out loud, I was like, I think I need more life experience to really call myself a life coach. I mean, don't you think? I know the tools to get people through certain things, because it's all the same. But I personally haven't gone through a lot of things, so maybe I shouldn't be a coach. And I don't know why I said that, because the universe has a way of giving you what you ask for. You put it out, and it comes right back to you. So I'll get to that in just a second. So I had an opportunity to move back home and take on a new position because I was over Miami. And it was a completely different job. What am I saying? Different kind of a job than I was used to having. I was going into sales, and it was scary because it was all commission, and it was something I've never done before. But I had the tools, I had the mindset, and I felt like I could make it happen. So I took that job, came back to Texas, and just like I put out into the universe, life decided to life on me and give me what I asked for. The home that I was moving into flooded. The job that I was about to, the agency that I was going to work at never materialized. I had to take a major pay cut. All the pillars of your life that, socially, financially, spiritually, all these things were just not in the right place. And I went into a dark place, and it was rough. And I started to really question, like, did I make the right decision? I've done all these things. I have all these tools. We teach these things in coaching. But it didn't work for me, I thought. Sometimes you have to hit a wall to be able to come out of it in a better way. That situation, though it didn't feel like a win moving, it actually taught me a lot of things that I needed, that I was going to need later. I had to go back in and pick up those tools. I started to invest in myself again. I started to pull myself out, start to work out again to get my mindset back, because we know exercising helps you to clear your head, and it actually makes you feel better. So I was running every morning, waking up, doing meditating. I was doing my affirmations. I was doing my gratitude journal, making a point to find the things in my life that was actually going well instead of focusing on what was not going well. I started reading more, listening to podcasts. I don't know, maybe podcasts wasn't a thing back then, but you know where I'm going with this. I'm listening to people who were in places that I wanted to be and getting the motivation from them. Really studying my craft, my sales. And I started to pull myself out of where I was using the tools that I had learned as a coach. Of course, at this point, I had moved and I had let coaching go because I had doubted myself so much. I wasn't practicing at that time, but I was still using the tools that I had learned as a coach. All right. So we want to fast forward a little bit further. At this point, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more confident again. I decide to pursue something that I've always loved. I've always done. I'm a dancer. And, they always talk about following your passion. And your passion never goes anywhere, and it means it's something you need to do. So I decided to pursue dance full time. And at the time, it was the greatest thing that I could have ever done. I was actually doing something that God gave me the talent to do. And every day I would go to work and I'm like, this is what I do for a living. And it was easy, and I felt free, and I felt like I felt very fulfilled. I was helping people to find joy in their lives. And I actually was coaching them while being an instructor, because it was always bigger than dance. It was always something that they needed to get over, maybe a fear that they had. And this is my day to day. Well, life has a way of lifing, as it always does. Enter COVID-19. As we remember, as we all know, the world shut down. Everything shut down. I couldn't teach anymore. And it was a scary time. The world was just basically freaking out. I mean, no one had a clue of how this thing was going to turn out. And I went to work one day and they told me that they had to let me go. And I left work just completely like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. But then in the moment that I had that thought of, I don't know what to do next, and it's like I wanted to cry and I wanted to be really sad and pout about what was going on. But then I had this moment where I felt a whole lot of peace, and I wasn't afraid. It's almost like there was a hand around me, God putting his arms around me saying, you're going to be okay. I got you. Don't worry about it. One door closes, there's always going to be another one that opens. And it was the strangest thing because I wasn't, though I didn't know what was going to happen, I wasn't afraid. So I spent that time really digging deep again. And I actually believe that the times before where I went, rock bottom or what have you, that was preparing me for this particular moment in time, because I had been practicing those things for such a long time that when COVID happened, I just jumped into it like it was, something, natural. I did a lot of meditating, a lot of searching within for answers, because we didn't have the opportunity to use, I guess vices might be the word, I don't know, to self-soothe in the way that we typically would. You can't go do some retail shopping. The malls are closed. You can't go to a restaurant and eat it out or have some drinks with your friends because everybody was at home. I couldn't go to my parents. I go to my dad and my brother whenever I'm afraid. And they're feeling the fear too. So it's like I had no outlet. I mean, I think at that point everybody was afraid to even go outside. So even going for a run was stressful. So I had to really go within and pull out those tools that I had learned as a coach to help me through that time. And I learned meditation, how to drown out the noise and how to listen to the voice within to tell me what I needed to do next. And at that time, it started to come to me. A lot of people were a lot of people were not working. They were creating new ways to bring in money in their household. So there were a lot of people that were starting businesses. The digital world just blew up. So you have people starting, drop shipping and, service, coaching, things like that. People were offering courses to learn how to trade, invest, learn how to publish your own book. So everybody was just coming up with ways to create more money. And it was really cool. And I, of course, took some of those courses. But then I was like, okay, this is nice. It's cool to know how to trade, because I did that too. But what kind of person do you need to become in order to be successful in these things? These courses are not touching in that area, because you can know how to do something, but you don't necessarily know how to stay motivated, how to stay disciplined, and how to drown out naysayers and that kind of thing. So what if I created something that's specifically for those people? I know these things. I do these things all the time, and I've been successful in doing these things for myself. So I revived my coaching business at that point because of COVID. I decided that I wanted to focus on business owners, very new small business owners, to help them through those times, because I know for sure how it feels to doubt myself. I know how it feels to feel overwhelmed with the things that I have to do. I know how it feels to compare myself to others and to get caught up in that thing. So that's how this whole thing kind of was birthed as far as my focus with business owners. So that is my coaching story of how I got started. But I want to get into this whole thing about fear. I've been touching on it a little bit as I've been talking. And fear is something that we all deal with. We all have a bit of a relationship with fear. It's a natural response to situations that happen. So, if you feel like you're in danger, this moment of fear, it's to protect you. It's to keep you from being harmed. And it functions very well in a life or death situation. But when it comes to little things like starting a business or having a difficult conversation or making a phone call to a person you're interested in, or, deciding whether or not to take on a new job or in a new city or what have you, sometimes fear your response to fear is not warranted in the way that it plays out. So I want to talk about that. I've always had an interesting relationship with fear, and it may just be how I'm wired, and how I was brought up. But as a kid, I grew up in a household with a dad who's a coach, and there are a lot of things that were instilled in me back then. So, the little things like when you start something, you commit to it, you finish it. If something is uncomfortable, you push through it, because discomfort doesn't last that long. I used to run the mile relay, and that last straightaway felt like death, but he always taught me is that, that burn you push through, it's going to last for so many seconds and it's going to be over. And so that kind of stuff has always been in me. So when it comes to trying new things that I may not be comfortable with, the fear is there. It's always there. But there is something else in me that pushed me to want to keep going. My biggest competition has always just been myself. I don't want to be a punk. So it's frightening, yes, but we're going to push through it, or we're going to quit. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Definitely not quit. So I'm going to find a way to push through. So, growing up, or I guess in my 20s, I would just kind of try stuff just to see what happens, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I have no idea. I have no experience in it. So what is there to fear? And so I did a lot of random things, and my friends know me as being pretty random. But I would show up just to see what would happen. Then I'll give you an example. I tried out for, I became a dancer literally the day I stepped into the studio. I guess I probably shouldn't say that. I became a dancer the day I decided I wanted to dance, when I used to watch music videos, but that's another story. I went to a performance, and I saw Alvin Ailey perform, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do all that they're doing. And so I got home, and I picked up the phone and just started calling dance studios, because I wanted to take classes. Well, I called this one particular studio, and they said, oh, we got classes, but why don't you try out for our team? I'm like, no, I want to take a class. I don't know anything about dancing. They said, no, try out for a team. And I'm like, what? So, in true form, being me, I showed up. And I'm looking at all these people in line. Like, it's a line around the building. And they're stretching, and they're doing pirouettes, and they're high kicking their faces. And I'm like, I am not at the right table, sis. This is not my thing. But again, that thing in me that says, we're not going to quit, I stayed there, knowing I was petrified of what was happening and what was going to happen. But something said, just stay, just do it. So I tried out for the team, and I made it. I don't know why I made it, but I made the team. And I think back on that for a lot of reasons. If I had not have stayed, if I had gone with leaving, I would have missed an opportunity. And I don't know that I would have become a professional dancer, because it was a dance company that, not important. Anyway, I don't know if I would have been where I am right now if I had have left. I've met the most amazing people through that experience. I've had an opportunity to dance all over the country, in different countries, because of that experience, because I had the courage to just go try. And that's the thing about fear. We don't want it to limit us from trying opportunities, because you never know where it could go. It can do one of three things. No, actually one of two things. Either you're going to get what you want, or you're going to learn something from it. Both of those are wins to me. But for sure, if you don't try it, you'll never know where it's gonna go, and you have to deal with the regret of what could have happened, and that's what I never want. So I continuously did things like that. Another time I tried out for what was it, the Houston Texans cheerleaders. I had never seen an audition before like that. Didn't know anything about the boots and the, what are they? They wear the glitter, not glitter, the diamonds, the crystals, the hair and the weave and all the extra drama. I know nothing about that. I showed up as cute as I thought I could be. And the crazy thing is, I made it to the end. I made it all the way to the end. And they didn't pick me that time. I was like, okay, that's cool. That wasn't a win for me. But what did I learn from that? I learned that there are some things I needed to work on, and that pushed me to want to work even harder. It also taught me that it gave me a clearer vision of where I wanted to go with my dance. Like, okay, these are the opportunities that could happen with dance, and it started to, I met people that showed me other opportunities. That wasn't the only avenue for dance. It also taught me that if something is for you, it's for you. I'm not even going to go into that because a lot of political things happen in that world, but it never has anything to do with your ability. Let's just keep it that way. And in knowing that, it told me that my value has nothing to do with me making that team or even not making that team. My value is already there. And so making the team didn't make a difference. I know what I have to offer. You know what I mean? But that's, again, another thing with trying new things. You could try something and you may not necessarily get the outcome that you want, but it's definitely gonna teach you something in return. You may find out that there's something that thing you wanted may not necessarily be the direction you needed to go into. And you might end up taking a detour or a different path that's better suited for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It also teaches you, a lot of things. It teaches you courage. Trying new things builds your courage muscle, basically. It's like when you go out to the gym. You break the muscle down, you give it time to heal, it becomes stronger when it heals. Same thing happens when you try things that are uncomfortable. It may feel uncomfortable for that moment. You get past it and you're like, that wasn't so bad. That was actually kind of fun. And then you do something else. And you do the next thing. That wasn't so bad. That was kind of fun. And then you move on. And you continuously just keep building, and you find that uncomfortable situations don't hit you the way they used to, because it's just like, I know I've done this before. It may not be the same thing, but I trust me and I know how I respond. Even though the environment's doing something else around me, I know I can trust in me, and then I can come through this and be okay. It also teaches you, what else? It teaches you a lot of things. I'll come back to that. But yeah, so fear. Fear is an interesting thing. Fear, your brain. Let's talk about that. Your mind does this thing where when something fearful happens, something happens that causes you to be afraid, it shines a spotlight on that thing, and it gives you more reinforcing thoughts to justify not doing that thing. So what do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. Let's say, I don't know, I'm gonna make up something silly. You're afraid to call somebody that you like. This might be a girl thing, so just work with me. I don't know. You pick up the phone, you're like, oh, no, I'm not gonna call. Maybe they're not at home. Maybe they are at home, but he's definitely not gonna answer the phone. Maybe he's not gonna answer the phone because he's on another date. Yeah, he's the kind of guy who has a lot of dates. He definitely is not my type because he's probably got a lot of women. Yeah, never mind, I'm not gonna call. Okay, that might be a little dramatic, but you see what I mean? Your mind starts to create more reasons to justify not doing the thing. And that's what you don't want. So when a situation happens that causes you to kind of step back for a second out of fear, first of all, we know, going back to what I said before, in situations that are not life or death, this is where this applies. Life or death, you wouldn't want to do this. But you want to learn how to interrupt those thought patterns, because your brain will do that to protect you. And again, it works in situations to protect you. But for these everyday things, it's not really practical. I was zip lining in Costa Rica in the jungle with my friends. And I was practicing this because I'm a weirdo like that. I was trying to physically feel what happens when you're afraid in other situations. Just whatever. I'm strange like that. But anyway, we're going through and I've done zip lining before, so I wasn't afraid of that. But this particular course that we were on had everyone got more, every platform got more and more dramatic. So I'm looking at this one platform and I'm like, okay, now we're going faster and we're a little bit higher and the ground is further down. This is getting a little weird. And so I'm thinking, I'm starting to freak out a little bit internally, but I'm not going to let anybody know that, right? But then I caught myself and I'm like, nope. We got to interrupt those thoughts, because the moment we let ourselves ruminate, that's when we'll psych ourselves out and not do it. So what I would do is, the moment I would step up on the plate, I would immediately, strap on and just go, not even giving myself time to think about the fact that I was afraid. And that worked for a while, until we got to this one particular area where the platform was on one side and it was going, you had to go to the other side. And I was just like, this is looking a little bit different. What's going on here? And the girl's like, oh, we're going to do the Tarzan. I'm like, the Tarzan? So basically, you're going to swing from one side all the way to the other side. And I was like, oh, hell no. She didn't tell me about this one. I got to go back. But nobody's going to take me back. But we're way up in the air. But I can't be a punk. Like, I'm just going, I'm going nuts in my mind. And I said, sis, you got to stop it. You got to interrupt those thoughts. So I went back and thought about it, and I said, okay, we're not going to die. You know we're not going to die. You've done more crazy things in your life, and it was fine. You've jumped out of a plane before. You can do this. And that was the confidence and the motivation that I needed to kind of calm me down. And I did it. It was scary for 1.7 seconds. And then it was the most amazing thing I have done. It was almost comical that I was even afraid of it. And I say all this to say that's kind of how it works. You realize you go through these things, you have this moment, and you're like, what was I really afraid of? That's why it's so important to push through those moments, because, again, your mind will try to protect you. It doesn't want you to do things that are uncomfortable, and it makes sense. But we have to do things that are uncomfortable. That's the only way we're going to grow. So you have to have the wisdom and the discipline enough to know when to shut that part of your mind off and keep pushing forward. It turned out to be fine. The next platform that we went to was the Superman. It was even worse as far as scary goes. But after I did it, it was fun. And I'm flying through there with my arms outstretched, and it was amazing. And so I go back to that because it's a physical manifestation of what happens in your mind when you're faced with fear. And it helps me to remember, you've done this before. You can do it again. And I try to take situations in my past and use those as reminders of situations where, okay, I've had this big, awful, scary thing happen to me before, and I was still successful, and I can do it again. One of the things that happened to me when I started my business was I was gung-ho. I was excited about getting started. I was doing all the admin stuff. I was setting everything up. I knew exactly what I wanted to teach. I had everything in the background set up. And then I took it even further. I'm doing all the, continuing education. I'm reading all the books. I'm now listening to all the podcasts. And I'm on Instagram and I'm seeing all these other coaches. And then things start to take a weird turn. I just stopped. I lost all my momentum. And I just stopped moving altogether. And I was starting to question, like, what was wrong with me? Like, I know I'm not lazy. I've never been a lazy person, but I have absolutely no desire to do any work on my business. And I was talking to my therapist, and yes, I have a therapist, and you should have a therapist and a coach if you're a coach. But I was talking to my therapist, and I was like, dude, I didn't say dude. I was like, I think I might be depressed. And she was like, I don't think you're depressed. I think you're scared. And I was like, oh man, you are smart. That's what we pay you for, I guess. She was absolutely right. It didn't even occur to me that was the case. I thought maybe I had lost motivation. I was procrastinating the junk out of it, but it turned out that it was all going back to fear. And fear is funny that way because it can show up as procrastination. It can show up as anger. It can show up as imposter syndrome. It's important to peel back the layers. And after she told me that, it's like, okay, now that I know what this is, I need to dig deep and figure out what's causing this. And as I kept just asking myself, okay, well, why don't you feel like it? Well, I don't feel like it because it's a lot of work. Why do you feel like it's a lot of work? And I realized that what I was doing was I was creating my own obstacles by intellectualizing the entire thing, by taking all these courses, by trying to learn everything, by reading all these books. I was trying to become perfect and hiding behind perfection instead of actually making moves. And that was out of complete fear. After peeling back the layers, the next step is, okay, let's see if we can figure out why we're doing this. And is there any truth into what you're thinking? So, is this really a fear? Is this what you fear, is it something that can actually happen? Well, no. Okay, you fear what people might say. The things people might say, is that gonna kill you? No. Does it matter? No. Okay, you fear that it's insurmountable. Is that really a thing? It only is if I try to take it all on. I can break it into pieces. I can do a little bit at a time, and it won't be so overwhelming. So going back and testing whether or not your fear is really valid. And then from there, finding examples of ways in your times in your past that you can test it against where you are right now. Meaning, have I done things that are insurmountable before and succeeded? Yeah, college. I mean, you start off in college at 18 looking at your entire syllabus, your head will explode. But you don't do it all at one time. You do it one semester at a time, 1 year at a time, and you eventually finish. And it was the same thing with my business. Have you been successful doing things that you don't necessarily know the end result of, but you found a way to get through it? Yes, I have. Well, you can do it again. And then from there, you make a decision and you take action. And that's it. And that's what I had to do to pull myself out of that situation. Yeah. So, fear is, it's good for you, but you have to learn how to bypass that emotion and know yourself enough to know, okay, this is how I normally respond in certain situations, just out of a knee-jerk reaction, but I need to override that and do something different. A lot of times, fear is something that's your body naturally responds to without your mind processing it, exactly what's going on. So what happens is the environment gives you some situation happens and your body picks it up. What happens in your mind is your mind's not thinking about if that situation is life or if that situation is really life-threatening. It only sees it as a problem. So your body immediately responds the way it would in any frightening situation. That being said, it never reaches the frontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that processes whether or not you're really in danger. So I'm saying all that to say, know how you respond to situations, and know that, you know what, this is just that moment that I feel the fear. I know it's not going to last. I know that if I just push through, it's not going to be so bad, and I'm going to come through in the end, either learning something new or actually gaining whatever it is that I'm trying to get. And I want to leave you guys. I'm just kind of rambling now, but I just want to leave you with a situation or a thought, just so I can kind of pull all this together. Instagram Live. Oops, I hit a button. Hang on. So let's get down to biz. This weekly show that I do every Wednesday. I had this idea probably a year ago, and I didn't start it a year ago because I was absolutely petrified of doing an Instagram Live. Like, completely petrified. Like, talking to my therapist about, like, what is wrong with me. I don't want to get on this live and do anything. So, I put it off. I just never did it. And it's so wild because I used to get on and do lives periodically. I had no problem with it. I had something to say, I'll get on and talk about something. But I think what happened is this new age of social media is so bad. And you don't realize what it does to you subconsciously. I'm, flipping and watching people do their thing, and I'm silently, subconsciously comparing myself to what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing people that seem, successful and seem so well spoken and so put together, and it's like they're reading cue cards. Like, how are you remembering all this stuff that you're saying right now? And so I compare myself to it. I'm like, I'm not that good. And I don't want to get on, and I'm afraid, what if nobody listens, and what if I flub and forget everything I'm saying, and what if I sound dumb? Just out of control what ifs, right? So I decided not to do it. So one day, this was back in actually September, I'm at a baby shower, and I meet a lady, and she's telling me about her day job, and whatever, and then she goes on to tell me about a job that she has, her passion that she does, which is she has a boutique, and she just starts glowing, and I'm like, ooh, tell me more, this is so exciting. So she's telling me about it, and out of nowhere I go, you know what, I think me and you should do an Instagram Live. And as fast as it came out of my mouth, I was like, what in the world did I just say? I do not want to do a live. Why would I tell her that? I don't want to do lives. And she's so funny because she's like, oh girl, I've never done a live either, that'd be fun. And there you have it. I put it out into the universe, and like I said before, when I commit to something, I have to follow through with it. So we set a time and a date, and my first week in October, I had my first Instagram Live. So the truth is, this show, though it is about talking to other business owners, and I'm hoping that you're getting some good stuff out of watching these, it was for me to get over myself. So, hence, yeah. But this is the important part. I pushed through the fear, and I did it anyway. And I've met some really, really cool people by doing this. I've reconnected with some friends of mine that I hadn't talked to in a while. I'm learning so much about other people and the things they're going through, and I'm hoping that everybody's getting the same benefit out of it. But it's been a lot of fun in the process, and it's not so scary anymore. I do get a little bit of like weirdness. I don't know what this is. Weirdness right before I start, but it goes away. So I am a walking poster child for fear, fighting through the fear, and pushing through anyway. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to remember that you have the power, you have the courage, you have it inside of you. Everything you need is inside of you. People say it all the time, but it's so true. You just have to have the courage to trust yourself. And when there's an opportunity that's in front of you and you have a crossroad, know that no matter what you choose, something great's going to come out of it. And what you fear, even if it does materialize, there's something that's going to come out of it that's going to be even greater for you, that you're going to learn from. Even if it's to never do that again, at least you won't do it again, right? So I think I've been talking for a long time. Ooh, child, yes I have. But I appreciate you guys that are listening right now. I'm waving. My cousin's on. I love my cousin. Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope this is helpful. If you found it to be helpful, let me know, or not. It's fine. Share it with somebody. But I do appreciate you listening to my story, and I do this every week until I decide I don't want to do it anymore. And but I will be back next week. So this is every Wednesday night at 7 Central Time, and I hope to see you guys next week. Have a good night.